Hello. The question of why we watch movies seemed pretty straightforward to me when I was about 5 years old. I mean, I just looked for whatever could make my life a bit more interesting, and it's why, get ready for this, I dressed up for them occasionally. I got a little bit older since then, and I started to see movies in kind of a different way. Absolutely, when I was a kid, movies helped me kind of forget about how small my world was. But you know, as far as what I knew, it was pretty much as big as my backyard. If you also include the field across the street from my house, if you also include strategies for Ghost in the Graveyard games. But just this next year, I'll be headed down to Urbana-Champaign to study engineering. And as I can only imagine what kind of stuff I'll be dealing with over there, I have the last email that U of I sent me as a kind of reference, which mentions that its students are just casually working on making biofuel out of algae or something crazy like that. I mean, I'm excited for it, as I'm sure many of my peers are, but you know, I wish more people could kind of tell us about how small adulthood really makes you feel. You get to know a lot about what's here throughout your childhood, but when you're ready to go to adulthood, you know, you might not be ready for what's out there, and you might not feel complete for it either. And that's what I suppose that movies are really for. They're here to let us know that some things don't change. Wherever you go in the world, we still have those Spinal Tap bands that we're really embarrassed that we ever listened to. We have those times like in E.T. where we're outsmarted by kids. And Fargo really captures those moments where we laugh, even though, quite frankly, we should be really creeped out. Movies like to point out what I call our imperfections, indicators that we're not really cut out for any of this, you know, intimidating world business either. But if movies are out there, and we already established that you might be kind of hesitant to go out there, aka Netflix is so hard to choose from, then how do we look for the right movies? Well, mainstream review websites like Rotten Tomatoes will say, oh, you can just listen to the people who are already out there. They basically take these big consensuses of the two types of viewers that can go online to share their thoughts. Either the fans, average Joes who are up to date on their movie trends, or the critics, people who are actually paid to write about movies. And from there, the readers of these sites can basically choose which side they most align with. And I guess you can expect different opinions from these two different perspectives. Like, fans are not really professional movie watchers. They're professional something else's who look for far-fetched yet passably enjoyable experiences to distract them from whatever boring run-of-the-mill thing they have going on during the day. But because movies are critics' professional lives, they're not really afraid to look at movies in the context of society because they never really leave it out of the theater. Critics mainly make sure that movies are honest about the nice parts about life and also its not so nice parts, things they know in the first place from the movies they watch. And I suppose in this respect, Rotten Tomatoes is really trying to provide a much needed service for us, because not all of us feel like we're capable of choosing movies that are worth our while on our own. But still, I just kind of have a tough time buying into it. Obviously, there's the weird percentage thing they do, and I can't dissect that into a point where it seems useful. Like 96% of Rotten Tomatoes critics liked Manchester by the Sea, the same percentage that liked Disney's Moana. But a number won't really tell you that how very different those two movies are. But I guess, like the fans have their strength in numbers, and they're really able to connect with each other through you know, thoughts and hopes and aspirations and fantasies that they can easily share, just like the ones in the most easily accessible and creative Pixar movies. But if fans are really only looking for consistency, as you can only have so many conventional happy endings, then they might have shallow repetition go over their heads. Like, I'm pretty sure they haven't noticed that they've seen the same Avengers movie 10 times over. But with critics, they feel confidence in their own independence. And they can see Manchester by the Sea not only as sad but poetic, and they can see the Grand Budapest Hotel not only as weird but witty and insightful. But critics might be so geared toward staying on top of that artistic curve that they may go for only the top tier and most acclaimed movies like The Spotlight and The Revenant over smaller movies like Ex Machina in 2015, or La La Land and Moonlight just this past year over The Lobster, even when those smaller movies still have something to say. Well, movies have helped me to understand a lot about humanity since I was a kid. I've learned about memory through The Tree of Life. I learned with Arrival about language, and I've learned about Moonlight and identity. And those mentalities you don't really get from fans or critics. You get them from us being students, people who aren't necessarily watching movies to become followers or leaders. They watch them to understand more about themselves and discover imperfections that they don't necessarily are aware about, but help us to become human. And that's what I would suggest, that we not necessarily follow either fans or critics, but we work on finding our own imperfections as students. Thank you.